vlog! Hello and welcome to Joe's Heavy Metal Vlog. I'm calling it Joe's Heavy Metal Vlog because honestly I haven't really thought of a clever name yet for this vlog. And I had some names in mind, but it seems they're already taken in other applications and completely unrelated to heavy metal. So for today, for the first episode, or the pilot if you will, this is going to be called Joe's Heavy Metal Vlog. Well, I am no stranger to vlogging. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now. Originally I started vlogging doing a dark ambient vlog called The Inner Sanctum, and perhaps some of you will remember me from that. So as much as I love dark ambient music, reviewing the albums, promoting, and trying to gain more acceptance within the musical underground, I have to say, above all else, heavy metal will always be my true favorite. I don't recall when exactly I first heard the word heavy metal, but the first time I can honestly say I became a heavy metal fan was back in 1993 when I heard a little song called Sweating Bullets by a band named Megadeth on MTV. Back in those days, you know, I think it was right around that time frame when my dad got us cable TV, and it opened up a lot of pathways for me back then. You know, going from normal TV to cable TV was a big thing back in those days, and there was no YouTube, there was no internet at all, so, you know, getting all these channels, all this new source of information was immense at the time. And when I first saw that video on TV, it really made an impression on me. It was just so different from everything I'd heard at the time. And it was kind of around the same time that I really kind of started branching away from my parents' music stuff they had raised me on. And my parents were, you know, they were a little bit older when I was born, and you know, I was 12 years old in 1993, and you know, I'd gone from like listening to like oldies and, you know, various, you know, like normal pop music of the 80s and early 90s, and then to move to like heavy metal was a pretty big thing for me at the time. It was, you know, a rebellious thing, I guess, and I don't know if my parents necessarily understood it, but they thankfully accepted it, and they allowed me to, you know, get albums and so on and so forth. But enough about me, more about this vlog. I'm doing this because I genuinely enjoy vlogging. I have a lot of fun with it, and this is, like I said, is the first episode or the pilot, whatever you want to say. I'm probably only going to review 2 or 3 albums here today just to kind of get things off the ground and see how it goes. If people check this out, I'll keep doing it. If not, then I'll probably lose inspiration to say fuck it and just work on the Inner Sanctum, the dark ambient vlog. But we'll see what happens. Vlogging is becoming a more popular thing on the internet, YouTube in particular, and some people have been, you know, asking for more and more. In particular, the guy Brainsmasher in his channel, he's been asking people to do more vlogs and just kind of get the, you know, the word out there and vlogging, heavy metal vlogs. So here I am trying it. What the heck? Why not? So the main point of this vlog is going to be to kind of mostly focus on more obscure albums and kind of stuff that's a little more hidden. You know, I feel like there's no point in really reviewing, I guess, like, you know, Slayer, Iron Maiden, because, you know, everyone knows that stuff's great, it's classic, it's wonderful, but we've all been there and done that, and there's probably plenty of popular blogs out there right now that are reviewing that stuff, and to me it's kind of pointless because we all know that's great stuff. So I'm going to focus in on more obscure stuff, hidden gems and so on various formats, CDs, tapes, vinyls mostly, probably mostly vinyls because I've been obsessed with vinyl lately and I've been buying a lot of stuff, and even though I've been obsessed, it's nothing new for me. I've been buying vinyl for the past 20 years, so, you know, but just recently I kind of caught the vinyl bug, or the hipster thing got to me. I don't know, I've just been buying vinyl like crazy. It's really weird. So anyway, let's get to the music. Up first is, at least in my opinion, a true little hidden gem that I first heard and got my hands on back in 2003 when I stopped into a local secondhand shop called Half Price Books. Half Price Books back in those days was a great place for used CDs, vinyls, tapes, books, and other random knickknacks. Back then, the prices were all very fair, and you could find a lot of classic vinyl, especially thrash metal and death metal, seemed to always be circulating through the place. And I remember back in those days, you could find any of these old albums for under 10 bucks. It was amazing, and I bought so much stuff back then. A lot of it I kept, some of it I sold more recently, but I got a lot of great stuff back then. And one of my favorites was this album I'm going to talk about in just a minute, which was a total random blind purchase. I didn't know who this band was. I don't think Metal Archives existed back in those days. Well, I mean, if it did, I didn't have a phone, smartphone or anything like that existed back then either, so I couldn't have looked it up on the spot. But I took a chance on it because there was a big mushroom cloud on the front cover, and there's a lot of upside down crosses on the artwork too, so how could I resist? The band in question is Recipients of Death, and their 1988 debut, Recipients of Death. Recipients of Death was a short-lived project, only existed between 1988 and 1990, and during that period they released this album and one other EP called Final Flight before breaking up, presumably forever, even though Metal Archives lists them as being active. But if if anyone has any information or any evidence that they existed past 1990, I would love to hear about it. This is a pretty straightforward record. It's very aggressive, in-your-face thrash metal, very comparable to Slayer's Rain and Blood and Dark Angel's Darkness Descends. It's just full throttle all the way. There's no slow songs, there's no like acoustics or any, it's just very full throttle, in-your-face and aggressive stuff with some very minuscule death metal tendencies here and there. What I really like about it was just the fact that it was a blind purchase, and it turned out to be a great record. And although it's only 20 minutes long, but still somehow considered a full-length album, it's just a great blast of just thrashy, just in your face. It's one of those albums, at least for me, really gets me charged, it really gets me going. And it goes great if you're having a few beers and you're having friends over, just to get a little riot going. And I don't know, if you're anything like me, I love having friends over and just spinning vinyl and drinking and just being a hooligan. I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, but I've never gotten sick of that kind of lifestyle, and I suspect at this point I won't ever get sick of that lifestyle, because I love heavy metal, and I will always love heavy metal, in spite of the fact that for 20 plus years, people have been telling me, oh, one day you're going to get over that stuff, and you're going to have a father, and you're going to have kids, and you're going to... No, I'm not. It's not going to happen, so... This is not going to happen. I'm always going to love heavy metal. That's just the way it is. And this record is, at least for me, like I said, just a hidden little gem because of the blind purchase and because it's just in your face and it's just full throttle and excellent. It's the riffs aren't overly technical, but the solos have a lot of it's Slayer influence again, and there's really no mistaking who these guys' influences were. The vocals are a bit different from some other thrash bands too, as they're kind of delivered sort of more of a hardcore style, but of a little more, I guess, a little bit more depth to it. It doesn't sound like SOD or Agnostic Front, something like that. This is much more like, I guess, semi-guttural is the best way I could do it. And it doesn't sound like Slayer's vocals or even the vocals on like Darkness Descends, Dark Angel. It's really, it's something, I wouldn't say different, but probably for its time, it was probably perceived as being pretty aggressive and pretty extreme, I would guess. There isn't any particular song on this record that really like blows me away, but I think the whole thing is just one big awesome pummeling affair, and since it's only 20 minutes, it's a quickie, it's one where you can just throw it on, drink a beer and just headbang and just get rowdy with your friends if you want to. I don't know. I mean, I still love shit like that, like I said, and it's a good time. I love having friends over just to spin vinyl and stuff like that, so yeah. If you can find this, and actually this goes on Discogs for a pretty cheap price tag, much to my surprise, and looks like you can pick up a copy for under 20 bucks, even under 10 bucks in some situations, so highly recommended. And I would have to specify, make sure you get the vinyl version, because there is a CD version of the band's entire discography out there, but it is a bootleg, and the bootleg sounds like shit. It basically sounds like someone mic'd their stereo while playing their records, and the record player had a dead needle, and it sounds horrendous. And for some reason, I don't understand, but that CD version goes on Discogs for like $40 to $50. I actually recently sold my copy for like 60 bucks. I was blown away. I couldn't believe someone bought such a shitty CD for 60 bucks. So as I said, definitely worth checking out. This is probably on YouTube somewhere, but if it's not, I'll make sure I upload it to this channel so you guys can check it out. But definitely worth looking up, and if you can grab a copy for under 20 bucks, dude, it's totally worth it, especially if you're a big fan of that old school kind of really just aggressive thrash, kind of almost proto-death metal stuff. It's really good, and it has an old school feel, just no holds barred, in your face, just fucking just a pummeling attack. It's awesome, man. Great riffs, solid, Slayer-esque solos, aggressive vocals, just pummeling drums, real precise and awesome. It's really great. Even audible bass work, so it's really worth your time, well worth checking out. So check it out. That's Recipients of Death.
Rusted as I, open coffin.
here's the front cover, and well, as I described earlier, there's a mushroom cloud on it, and this is what really initially got my attention. I saw this in the record store, and I thought to myself, like, holy fuck, Recipients of Death, and there's a big fucking mushroom cloud. I'm assuming that's from the Hiroshima bombing in Japan back during World War II, but I'm not 100% sure. But either way, fucking cool. I mean, who doesn't love a mushroom cloud, right? As you can see, I paid only $7.98 for this baby. It's a little beat up, and probably that's partially my own fault too, because I didn't actually start buying sleeves for my vinyls until just about 3 months ago. Oops. But yeah, so it's probably some of the damage seen is my own doing, and it's this record's been moved to about 4 different apartments, as well as into my current home where I live. So it's been through a few boxes and all that kind of stuff, so that's why I got it beat up and everything. But anyway, here's the back cover, and as you can see, there's only a few songs, and as I said, only 20 minutes in length, but definitely worth checking out. I mean, who doesn't, I mean, look at this fucking, that's cool as hell, this upside down cross here and everything. Look at that. That was what really caught my attention when I saw this. I go, wow, that's awesome, man. And I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but it was released by Wild Rigs Records, which I think was what really kind of convinced me to buy it, because I was already familiar with the label, because they had released stuff from like The Hair, Emperor, and I believe Blasphemy in the early 90s too. So I figured it had to be metal and it had to be pretty aggressive, because they were known for that kind of shit. So right on. So I will show you the vinyl first, because there's lots of other little goodies with this one. Yeah, let's put it right there. So here's the vinyl. It's of course a standard black vinyl. Nothing particularly special. But yeah, hey, pretty cool. And as you can see, it was in pretty much mint condition when I bought it, and has remained as such since then. A little furry in a few spots, but no big deal, right? A lyric sheet, of course, with all the lyrics and everything, and you know, a thanks list is on this side too. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Recipients of Death logo right there. Some other goodies in this one is a little, I guess, the Wild Rag magazine. They have an advertisement for in here. I wasn't even aware of that, but totally cool. And then it has all there over here a listing of some of the other bands that were on the label at the time. I remember that same day I bought the record from Blood Cum. That was an interesting one, but I sold that one a long time ago already, and I honestly can't remember what it sounded like, but I must not have liked it if I sold it pretty regularly after that, or you know. Also a couple little promo flyers of sorts here, basically like stuff for merch, for t-shirts, stickers, and posters. And the back here, totally just brutal, like skeleton and just awesome, satanic, anti-Christian artwork. I mean, this is, I mean, this is pretty fucking cool for something released in 1980. I don't think there was necessarily that many bands that were having this kind of anti-Christian artwork and just stuff, this brutal image as much as these guys did back then. And last but not least, the Recipients of Death poster, which is super cool too. For a long period of time, I had this hanging on my wall in my first apartment, and a lot of people would say, that would come over and say, who the fuck are Recipients of Death? And then I'd play this album, and they were like, wow, dude, this is really good shit. How did I miss this? And that's the question I have to ask them. How these guys still, all these years later, I mean, 30 years since this album's been released, and they still remain this just totally just obscure, forgotten entity. And I would guess it's probably because of their short existence of only 2 years, but usually even bands that have this short existence, usually somewhere along the way, you know, if it's good enough, it gets picked up by a label and gets re-released in some sort of like fancy packaging or something. But I just don't think that's ever going to happen for this band. That's kind of unfortunate, but at least you can buy the record original for quite a little price, so definitely, again, worth checking out. That's Recipients of Death. Released back in 2012 via the Fragile Branch Recordings label is Wanderlust, Monolith entre ruins, which is French and means something like monolith enter ruins. Wanderlust is a solo project of Der Pestards, who between 2007 and 2013 had a slew of projects, most of which were solo, but also duos and full bands. Probably the most notable of those projects being Finn, where he was the original drummer and founding member of the band. Wanderlust, however, was his solo project where he handled all the chants, screams, battery, guitars, and synths, and he did it impeccably. This is probably one of my favorite records of the past several years. It's very underrated too, which is just a shame because it deserves so much more attention. It's one of those records that at least for me, one of the things that really stands out is just how spot on and awesome the drum work is. Between just pummeling fast blast beats and fills and just really cool like militant percussion, all kinds of really cool rolls and stuff like that. The percussion and drum work is just awesome and on fire from start to finish. It is I just love it. It has this commanding force, just forces you to bob your head and headbang with it. It's a great, and it's kind of notable to point out that Der Pestards is definitely a drummer first and a guitarist second, but that's not to say that the riffs are bad. In fact, the riffs are fucking awesome too. There's just such a commanding just drive behind these riffs where it just, I don't know, it fills me with energy, just gives me a pump every time I listen to this album. And of course, that can't be said about every album, but this is one of those albums where when I need to get energetic, I need to wake myself up, it's what I'm going to throw on it. I love it. The riffs also have a certain kind of folkiness to them, not unlike the riffs that were present on Grieveland's early efforts like Thousand Swords or Following the Voice of Blood. It's really interesting how it kind of took that sound, the Grieveland sound, just kind of sped it up a little bit and added a lot more, impeccable and just spot on drumming. Because I mean, obviously Capricorn's drumming on those early Grieveland records wasn't much, and to hear something kind of comparable with awesome riffs and awesome drumming is just really, at least in my opinion, fucking awesome. And the vocals get delivered in basically a kind of standard raspy style, but they fit well, and it's just, it adds to the energetic and just overall aggressive mood of the album. And basically, other than the intro, which is sort of a, I guess, neoclassical choral kind of piece, from there on, the album is just completely on fire from start to finish. It's just really just a great driving record, just one that's bound to just get you fueled up and just get you, I mean, I love this record, that's all I can say. It's a great fucking album. It's also kind of worth noting that the lyrical themes are a bit different from normal black metal, as on this record, Der Pestards chose to focus the lyrics more on like history, medievalism, romanticism, which obviously is different from black metal, where it's usually this typical anti-Christian or satanic topic. So it's good to see someone trying something different like that. And I know some people will argue that black metal has to have those typical characteristics, but I tend to disagree, as long as the music is aggressive and malevolent as this record is, and it's well worth checking out if you're in that sort of thing. So once again, that is Wanderlust, is Mancave entre Rouen. So look at the front cover then. So we got the very fucking cool Wanderlust logo, which is pikes and the ammo, and then we have the Plague Doctor, of course, back here with some bones and everything. Just sort of I guess a medieval kind of thing. I'm not totally familiar with the concept of the Plague Doctor exactly, but I think it's generally pretty related to like medieval times and something. I think at some point in time doctors may have weird masks like that or something to protect themselves from plagues. I don't really know the story, but anyway. So we'll look at the vinyl itself then. Here's the A side and the B side. Photos and more sigils and such. And the back cover, of course, which has all the song titles, information about the recording, and as you can see, it's limited to only 150 copies. And I don't know, I didn't bother to check, but as far as I know, this thing is still in print. And I remember I bought this for like $10 because I just don't think they were selling very well or something like that. And like, again, that's a shame. This is such a fucking awesome record, so worth everyone's time to check out. So there's the back cover anyway, and then there's a little insert here, which of course has all the lyrics. Yeah, much as you expect. Then another image of the Plague Doctor on the back. super cool stuff. And see what else is in here. I guess that's about it. I think there was a download code as well, but I already redeemed that and used it, so yeah. So anyway, super cool album, well worth checking out. A total fucking awesome black metal hidden gem in my opinion. And if you're into just, you can just imagine like I guess like a faster Graveland with just fucking an awesome percussion drums and really catchy, just hard driven, just commanding riffs, you know, and with that sort of folkiness behind them. And this is definitely one you're gonna want to check out. Formed back in 1993, this Swedish band originally kicked their career off in the black metal genre, before then moving into more of a death thrash style and then a death thrash style with industrial characteristics. But we're not going to talk about that later, so we're going to focus in on their 1995 EP, Wraths of Time. And it's created by a band named Swordmaster. Swordmaster is notable because John Nodbeek from Dissection, his younger brother Emil, was sort of the founder of this band. He was the lead guitarist and I believe main songwriter. And back in these days, they were full-on black metal with basically some underlining thrash and more kind of speedy driving characteristics to their music. Music at times almost has comparison to, I guess I would say, a more thrashy sounding Gorgoroth, if you could imagine such a thing. There's a good mixture between the more discordant black metal riffs and the thrashy riffs, and the bulk of this EP honestly sounds like, as I said, a more thrashy Gorgoroth or very comparable to Section's Storm of the Light's Bane. A lot of it, the influence is very obvious there, and with Emil being John's brother, I mean, why not, I guess, right? He was obviously influenced by his older brother's work, and I mean, obviously everyone knows what a masterpiece Storm of the Light's Bane is, so it was pretty obvious that that was what he was influenced for this record. And although this is only 20 minutes in length, it's well worth checking out if you can find a copy for a decent price. I recently found this for about $15, and I knew I'd never see it again, and I had never really listened to this band. I had heard some of their later work where they were more the death thrash and death thrash industrial stuff. And I didn't like it, but I always heard the demos in this EP were really good, so I figured, what the heck, $15 original pressing, why not check it out? So I did, and I really enjoy this album a lot. It's well done, and it's just, you know, it's a solid slab of mid-90s Swedish black metal. It's not by any means classic, not by any means mandatory, but totally worth checking out if you can find a copy. Lyrically, the band was more centered around death, destruction, Armageddon, and once again kind of forego that typical black metal lyrical themes of anti-Christianity and Satanism, which of course I'm all for in my black metal, but I don't mind a change of pace, and I guess it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things anyway, because the lyrics aren't particularly discernible, so whatever. But that's what the themes were about, and you know, it's again, it's pretty solid stuff. It's only 20 minutes, but if you can find this for a decent price, maybe under $15 from what I paid, I would definitely recommend checking it out. And make sure, and I stress this point, do not adventure past this EP, because it gets really, really questionable after that. And it's also worth noting that this same band, Swordmaster, guys, these guys turned into that fucking band Death Stars. Have you heard that shit? It's fucking horrible. It's like Hot Topic fashion mixed with fucking Rammstein. It is utterly terrible, and it's just, I don't know how you could start, you know, playing, you know, being influenced by some pretty solid black metal stuff that's finally progressed into that territory. Is just, I don't know. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. But that's where this band went. They are, I think Swordmaster literally is considered, you know, or Death Stars, I'm sorry, is literally considered a continuation of Swordmaster. It was almost all the same members from this band. So I don't know how they made that mutual decision to go in that direction, but they did, and I guess it worked for them because they became pretty well known, and they've sold a lot more records, a lot more they did as Swordmaster, so whatever. I guess that was what they wanted to do. cover of Swordmaster's Wrath of Time. Well, we got some dudes drinking and partying in the sun here and anticipating Armageddon, no doubt, the apocalypse, the end of all, and they're just like, fuck it, let's just get crazy, let's throw the horns up and just have a good time as we burn to fucking death. So that's the front cover, and then in the back cover, we have the members clad in corpse paint and other typical black metal stuff. And it's funny if you look at pictures of these guys now, because although they're still wearing makeup, they, as I said, it's Hot Topic fabulous, and my god, it's hard to believe when you think about these guys that they progressed into that territory, but here they were as grim black metal warriors back in 1995. So there's no insert or anything with this, but here's a look at the vinyl, which is just a standard black vinyl. And as you can see, we have side one, Swordmaster, Wrath of Time, and the back cover, which has their pretty kind of spongy, weird looking logo. Yeah, so that's Swordmaster's Wrath of Time. Again, you know, nothing mandatory, but you know, if you're just looking for, if you come across it in something random, just a little decent offering of Swedish black metal, it's worth checking out. So, you know, give it a shot or look it up on YouTube. It's totally worth checking out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, thank you for checking out Joe's Metal Mancave vlog. This is the first episode of the pilot, if you will, and hope you had a good time checking out some albums that are a little bit obscure, a little more under the public radar, and hopefully it's stuff you'll look up and check out, because it's well worth it, and they're all really just cool albums. This is, you know, a start of something potentially big. I don't know. We'll see how much motivation I have for this stuff. I have so much shit I'm always doing, but I just love talking, geeking out about metal and music in general, so it's a lot of fun for me to make these vlogs, and I just hope you guys enjoyed this. So stay tuned for episode 2. I have no idea when it'll come, but it'll be here eventually, and hit that subscribe button, ring that stupid fucking bell if you want, and you'll get the little updates of when I have more stuff. And other than that, I mean, I have plans to just upload random, you know, music that's not on YouTube yet, because I probably have some hidden gems that aren't on there, I would guess. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. I haven't really searched yet, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, thank you guys. Thanks for checking this out, and stay metal and all those things, and up the irons, if you will. I don't really care, but yeah, cool. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.